Hi y'all, we're recording and you are in my studio. This is my chicken line drawing. The surface got a little bit messy in my bag, but I will take care of that. I'm wearing gloves for oil painting. I made my line drawing smaller compared to my reference photo, because I just didn't want to do a large drawing of chickens. I thought this support is 9 inches by 12 inches, and I like the drawing of the chickens. It's representational. I really enjoyed the line, and I enjoyed the suggestion of the landscape and simplifying everything. So let me show you. That's my palette. So that is lemon yellow, that's emerald green, that's phthalo blue, that's Pompeii orange, that's titanium white, that is Van Dyke brown, that's radiant viridian. Excuse me, I take that back. That's brown pink, and that's radiant viridian, and that is Van Dyke brown. This is my medium. It kind of came out a little too fast. That's liquid. It's fast drying. Now, if the weather outside is rainy, then it takes longer to dry. Actually, it could take up to 5 days, but generally it dries very, very fast. That's why I enjoy working with liquid. That's my water bottle. So let me see. So here is my palette knife, one of them. Here's one of my other palette knives. They're older. And the brushes I'm going to be using today are a variety. I'm going to use mostly small brushes for the chickens because the subject matter is small. You wouldn't want to use a big brush for how small of a subject matter that is, because you'll just go out of your drawing. So what we have here, this is a round. That's a round. The third is a flat. The fourth is a flat. This one right here, the brown one, that's a round. The brass handled one, that's a flat. Next one's a flat, and the other one's a flat. So sometimes I use flats. Primarily, I use rounds and filberts. So the first thing I'm going to do is, let's go back to the drawing. So here's the drawing. There's the suggested landscape. There's the reference photo. And the next thing is I'm going to choose my subject matter before I choose my landscape, describing that. Because I want to clean up this, because I'm not sure if I want to paint the entire thing. I want to paint primarily this area, so I have to figure out how to clean this other. Those little marks that happened when they were in my bag and got dirty on the side. So, there we go. Now you can see the chickens again. Okay, good. So I'm going to start with, I believe in intuition. So I'm going to start with the white chicken first. And then I'm going to block in the other chicken. And I'm just going to show you how I start, how I'm mixing the paint. The brands of paint I use are Gamblin, Vasari, Old Holland. I have one rim brand, that Pompeii orange is that. But other than that, those are the brands I primarily use for oil paint. And Winsor Newton Liquin, Liquin, and I like this support. It's oil primed linen. It's really, really nice. Stretched over panel, excuse me. I got it at Jerry's Artarama. So now we're gonna mix paint. And I'm squinting at that white chicken. So in the shadow, it's kind of like this grayish, purplish, like taupe color. In the cool areas of the chicken, you have this really bright white. And then there's a little bit in shadow is this pretty blue and white. And his face, or her face, excuse me. It's a hen. Her face has this pinkish red and the beak's yellow, and so I'm just going to all take it in shape and pre-mix those colors and choose the right size of the brush and the shape of the brush and go from there. Okay, so now to my palette. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this white actually. And it's very brilliant, so actually I'm going to just use some white in that really bright area. I'm going to use that right out of the tube, but okay, I need to try and get this off my brush. Just take a little bit. Ideally you would want to wipe off the white before going into the blue, because you just don't want to muddy your color. Now see, that's really bright. Okay, that's too bright. And we want to thoroughly mix this to where it's a solid. It's a pretty blue, but it's not what I need. Okay, so I need to grab a paper towel. One moment. Oops, sorry. Okay. I'm going to take this white, and I still have some blue on my palette knife. That is enough. It's a small amount, and actually this is a really good value, and the temperature for the area that had that blue and the white in there. So I'm just going to use what's on the palette knife. Now, if I had another hand, like if I had a device to hold the phone to show you how to do this, I would have taken my time and thoroughly wiped off my palette knife and removed all of that old color. But this is a great color. This is what I need. So now the next step, size of brush. So I'm going to choose this flat actually, and I'm going to dip into the liquid, and I'm going to load my brush. Loading. So it's loaded, and I think it's a little too loaded. So what I'm going to do is, when that happens, because you want kind of like you want it to be loaded, but you don't want a lot of paint. I want to control my surface. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. So there, see how I laid that brush stroke and I used the corner? So I actually did it linearly because I'm using the side. And then if it gets over to the other side, that's okay. I just wiped it away, so I smudged that, so that's totally fine. So I see a little bit of blue on the tip. I'm being careful. Go there. There. Blue there. See a little bit of it there. Now I'm using planer application because see I'm flattening the brush. Okay. Squinting to see if I'm blocking all those little areas that have that cool blue, excuse me. Yeah, that looks pretty done. Okay, so there's that stage. That's what I did. So So now I'm going to wipe off my brush. It's actually good to clean your brushes. It's good to clean your brushes in between each time you paint. Ooh. Actually, I should have dipped my brush into the liquid first before dipping it into my white paint. So there's my brush, it's loaded. I'm gonna block in the white areas of the chicken. Applying my brush planerly. Now linearly there. This is all Prima because I'm doing it wet into wet. Going over. Ooh, I don't want that little bob paint. Subtly go on top of this linearly, like that. I'm gonna have to use a smaller brush to make the face, and also I need to put in the shadow color too. So that's, I want to get rid of that little blob of paint. That's what it looks like right now. I want to get rid of that. I don't want that extra thing of paint. Ooh, oh, I didn't want to do that. Okay. There we go. It's resolved. Great. No fear. Okay, now I'm going to make that shadow color. So again, you want to clean your brush in between, but I'm holding my phone as I'm doing this. So I think it's helpful to do that. And there, I'm not using a palette knife to mix the color. Instead, this time I'm using a brush. The good thing about mixing your color with a palette knife is that the color is going to be more pure. So again, there's that color. And I want to take some blue and mix it in. Mix it thoroughly to where it's a solid color. I don't want to see streaks of another color. It needs to be a little bit darker, so I'm gonna some of that. Mix it in. There we go. Okay, so then now I'm going to go to that shadow area. And I'm drawing the outline of the shadow with my brush. Using linear application. Oh, sorry. Use linear application. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to that white mixture. And I'm going to go back in here and I'm looking at how it's described. Like, should I use linear application in here? Should I continue that shape? Should it be a broken line? You know, it's individual how you want to do it. there's not one right way over another. This is just how I do. So I'm trying to talk aloud as I do it. I also think it's important to squint. Like go here. So let's see. Let's look at that. Now I'm gonna take this color and take that and make this color. And I'm gonna go back into this area. Okay, I'm going to stop it there because I'm going to continue this process, but of course make different colors in here and different colors in there, and that chicken's going to be a different color and that chicken's going to be a different color, but I like some of the brush strokes that I'm seeing and like some of the colors, so this is okay for now. So it's, you know, it's in process, it's in development, but yeah, so this is how I start my paintings. I start it with a drawing first, very simple, very loose, and I start blocking in with color. I'm squinting as I'm making the color. It's wet into wet. And again, like I'd mentioned, like I don't want everything to be covered, the entire surface. We talked about paint consistency. I talked about the type of brushes and why it's good to mix with a palette. You mix your colors with a palette knife versus using your brush. But in this instance, you know, I mean, I alternate between the two, but ideally, if you want pure color, you're going to want to use a palette knife. And those plastic palette knives are horrible. You'll want to use the palette knives with a wooden handle. Well, thank you all. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.